Hello, my name is Dr. Yaya Sissoko. Today we are going to talk about chapter 15, how monopoly make production and pricing decision. With respect to production and pricing decision, let's compare monopoly to competitive firm. Monopoly, some of the characteristics of a monopoly is the monopoly is a price maker. They can charge higher prices. The monopoly is the sole producer. It's only the single producer of the product. So there is no close substitute. So the demand curve for monopoly is downward sloping, which is also the market demand curve. On the other hand, for competitive film, they are price taker. Why? Because you have many buyer and seller, so no one has power to influence the price of the product. So so there is a several producer. The demand curve is horizontal line, so which is also the price. So the demand curve is perfectly elastic in that sense. Figure number two, deal with the demand curve for competitive and monopoly firm. In panel A, we have a competitive firm demand curve. You can see that for a competitive firm, the demand curve is flat horizontal. So this is also equal to the price of the product because we have many buy and seller. They both of them take the price as given their price ticket. On the other hand, in panel B, the demand curve is for monopoly is downward sloping, negatively sloped. This means that if a monopoly charge higher prices, so this will lead to lower quantity sold in the market. If a monopoly wanna, sell more in the market, so increase the output, they can charge lower prices. By charging lower prices, the quantity sold in the market will increase. So you can see that monopoly have the ability to charge higher prices by reducing the output produced. So here you can see that you know because competitive firm as price taker, they are faced by horizontal demand curve. Because monopoly is the sole producer in the market, they are facing by downward sloping market demand curve. So as a result, the monopoly has to accept a lower price if it want to sell more output. So how do you determine the monopoly total revenue? Total revenue equal to the price time quantity sold in the market. So for instance, if the price is $10 and the monopoly is able to sell, let's say 20 units, so 10 times 20 is $200 as a total revenue for the monopoly. So a monopoly average revenue equal to the revenue per unit sold. So it's going to be the total revenue divided by the quantity. So always this is the average revenue is always equal to the price. So how do you determine a monopoly marginal revenue? So the marginal revenue is defined as the revenue per each additional unit of output. So it's the change in total revenue when output increases by 1 unit. So because the monopoly is a price maker, they can charge higher prices. Marginal revenue is always less than the price. Due to demand is downward sloping, to increase the amount sold, a monopoly firm must lower the price, it charge or customer. And the marginal revenue can also be negative. Table 1 summarize the monopoly total, average, and marginal revenue. The first column, quantity of water produced Q, goes from 0 to 8. So the second column, the price that monopoly charge, goes from 11 to 3. So for instance, if monopoly produces for 4 gallons of water, so the price charge is $7 per gallon. So we can see that as the quantity of water produces increases, the price decreases. Total revenue, on the other hand, TR equal to the price times Q. So it's going to be this column multiplied by that column. For instance, if monopoly produces 4 gallons of water at $7 each, so the total revenue will be 7 times 4, 28. Average revenue, AR, equal to total revenue divided by Q. You take this column, you divide by the first column. So for instance, the average revenue for producing 5 gallons of water equal to 30 divided by 5, which is going to be 6. Marginal revenue equal to MR equal to the change in total revenue divided by the change in total quantity. For instance, the marginal revenue for producing the third unit, the third gallon of water equal to the change of total revenue, which is equal to 24 minus 18, which is equal to 6, divided by 4, 3 minus 2, which is equal to 1. 6 divided by 1, that's going to be 6. The marginal revenue will be 6. Increase in the quantity sold by the monopoly lead to two types of effect. The first one is output effect, where Q is higher, so which will increase the total revenue. The second one is price effect, where P is lower, which will decrease total revenue because marginal revenue is less than the price. And this is due because the demand is downward sloping. Marginal revenue curve will be below the demand curve. So figure number 3 deal with the demand and marginal revenue curve for a monopoly. So you can see that the demand curve, which is also the average revenue, is downward sloping, negatively slope. Marginal revenue also is downward sloping, negative slope right here. So we see that we can see how the quantity effect and the price effect of the good. So if so it, the firm revenue change when the quantity increases by 1 unit because the price on all units sold must fall. The monopoly increase production. Marginal revenue is always less than the price. So you can see that marginal revenue will always be less than the price. The golden rule for profit maximization for the monopoly is if marginal revenue is greater than marginal cost, the monopoly should increase production in order to increase profit. If marginal cost is greater than marginal revenue, the monopoly should decrease, production in order to increase profit. So the profit will maximize, and the monopoly should produce quantity where marginal revenue equal to marginal cost, or the marginal revenue curve and the marginal cost curve intercept. So, and the price will be determined on the demand curve. Figure 4 deal with the profit maximization for a monopoly. We know that monopoly will maximize profit when marginal revenue equal to marginal cost. So the marginal revenue curve, which is this one, and the marginal cost intercept at point A, so which will give us the quantity for the profit maximization. So the intersection of marginal revenue curve and the marginal cost curve determine the profit maximization quantity. So you go up all the way up to the demand curve at point B to determine the price that monopoly is going to charge. So then the demand curve show the price consistent with the quantity. So let me ask the following question. What is the difference between profit maximization for perfect competition and profit maximization for a monopoly? For perfect competition, profit will be maximized when price equal to marginal revenue equal to marginal cost. In other words, price equal to marginal cost. So for monopoly, profit will be maximized when price is greater than marginal revenue, which is equal to marginal cost. In other words, price exceeds the marginal cost. So the monopoly profit will be measured by profit equal to total revenue minus total cost, which equal to price minus average total cost times the quantity. Price minus average total cost is the profit per unit sold. Figure 5 deal with the monopoly profit. Monopoly will maximize profit when marginal revenue equal to marginal cost. This will happen here. You go down to find the quantity which will maximize the monopoly profit. You go up at point B to find up to the demand to find the price the monopoly will charge. The profit will be this area, which is area B, C, D, and E. So that's a monopoly profit. The height of the box BC is this one. So is the price minus the average total cost, so which is equal to the profit per unit sold. So price minus average total cost give you the profit per unit sold. So the width of the box DC, which is this one, is the number of units sold. So two examples of monopoly and perfect competition will be monopoly drugs versus generic drugs. So the market for pharmaceutical drugs, which is it's a new drug, the company has a patent by law. The monopoly will produce Q where marginal revenue equal to marginal cost, and the price is greater than marginal cost. For for the generic drugs, which is a competitive market, so the company will produce K where marginal revenue equal to marginal cost and price equal to marginal cost. So the price of the competitively produced generic drugs will be below the monopoly price. In other words, so monopoly price is higher than the price of a competitive film, but the quantity produced by the monopoly is less than the quantity produced by the competitive film. Figure number 6 display the market for drugs. When a patent is given to a firm, a monopoly over the sale of the drugs, the firm will charge the monopoly price, which is well above the marginal cost of making the drugs. You can see that with patent, the monopoly will charge a price which is so way above the marginal cost of making that drugs. So, but when the patent run out, new film will enter the market, make it more competitive. As a result, the price fell from the monetary price to marginal cost. So, if the patent run out, new film enter, price will fall to this level, and then which is equal to the marginal cost. So you can see that the monopoly quantity is way less than the quantity, from the competitive market. But the price the monopoly charges is way higher than the price of the competitive market.